What's up, everybody? It's Izzy, and in today's video I want to further address a topic that I've touched upon in the past but not really gone into like full rant mode, and that is commercial gym benches. So I had to train at commercial gyms for about 6 months, and I split time between places like Gold's Gym, LA Fitness, and 24-Hour Fitness, which I think most of you who train at commercial gyms, at least in the United States, are going to train at one of these chains. And the reason why that's important is that in my experience, these gyms have basically the exact same equipment. In particular, LA Fitness and 24-Hour Fitness get their equipment from the exact same place, and most of it is the same exact hammer strength equipment. Now, the reason why I want to rant about this is that a lot of people don't know the difference between the specifications on a competition style powerlifting bench. I'm talking about the actual bench, the piece of equipment that you lie on to bench, and what they have at most commercial gyms, and in particular the standalone hammer strength benches that I'm talking about. So a regular competition bench will be between 16 to 17 inches high and it will be approximately 12 inches wide. Now, I'm not going to do the centimeter conversions. You guys will have to do that on your own. But the typical LA Fitness 24-Hour Fitness bench is about 12 inches high, and they're usually 8 to 9 inches wide. So it's, in just roughly speaking, it's usually about 2/3 the size of a normal bench. And the reason for this, I guess, is because kids use it, very small women use it, and I guess they wanted to design the commercial gym bench so that pretty much anyone who was ever born, including, small people, very, very small people, can have their feet flat on the floor. However, the problem with this, both in terms of the width and the height, is that you will bench less weight on these benches, even with the exact same range of motion. The decreased width, so the fact that it's not as wide as a normal competition bench decreases shoulder stability and will make you lift less even with the exact same range of motion. And the reason why this is important, of course, if your goals are powerlifting or hypertrophy, it doesn't really matter. Lifting less with the exact same range of motion means that you're basically doing an inferior version of the movement. You're getting less gains because there's less weight, so there's less mechanical tension. You're training with less weight, and so the competition specificity is lower, so your ability to demonstrate your strength on a regular basis will be lower, and because of this, you will bench less at a meet than if you had access to a competition bench the entire time. Now, probably even a bigger deal, although what is really a bigger deal than shoulder health? I mean, that's kind of a hard one to surpass. But as far as poundage goes, probably the bigger deal is the height of the bench. For most people, a 12-inch tall bench is going to make it so that their knees, when their feet are flat on the floor, are above their hips. So instead of having their hips be in a position of partial extension, or even if you have a good bench setup, full extension, like my hips are pretty close to being hyperextended in my bench setup. But on those commercial gym benches, my hips are actually in some degree, they're not going to be truly in flexion, but they're definitely nowhere near fully extended either. So what that means is that your leg drive is going to be significantly worse. It's going to be much harder to get any kind of contribution. It's going to be much harder from your legs. It's going to be much harder to set up in a position that protects your shoulders, not only due to the width, but due to the fact that you won't be able to arch as much with a bench that's that low. And so overall, what you have is a problem where the equipment is needlessly making you lift less weight. And, obviously we know that more weight is not always better. Like, for example, if you're doing like a close grip bench press, you're probably not going to do as much weight as your normal grip bench press. But the benefit is that the range of motion is longer and you're focusing on slightly different muscle groups. The problem with these commercial gym benches is that the range of motion is almost exactly the same, but the stability is worse. So if you'll allow me to make kind of an extreme example to make my point here, imagine that you could only bench press on a Bosu ball. Obviously, this is going to be harder and you're going to do less weight. But this is an example where just because a variation is harder does not automatically make it useful or more beneficial to your progress. The fact that you're going to have to use less weight consistently over time, like I said, means less mechanical tension, which means worse hypertrophy results, both for bodybuilders and powerlifters. And of course, the fact that you're not going to be using this particular piece of equipment at a meet, the bench is going to be, much larger, like 50% larger than the bench that you're using at the commercial gym. Your actual skill of benching is going to be completely thrown off, and your setup on the competition bench will be completely different than what you're used to at a commercial gym. So commercial gyms, in summary, are killing your gains. Now, one of the things that I did, and this is one of the only solutions that I see for this, is that you can take the standalone, like, kind of incline benches that they have, they usually have them in the like Smith machines, so that people can do shoulder press and incline bench in the Smith machine. These benches are more like 18 inches tall. So even though they're taller than a competition bench, which is kind of annoying because now you're stronger than you will be on a competition bench, 1 to 2 inches difference is a lot better than, say, using the regular just bench station that they have that's only 12 inches tall. So this is what I did, is I would just take those benches and put them in the squat rack. And then when I was at the commercial gym, whether it was a 24-hour fitness or an LA Fitness or Gold Gym, I would actually bench press in the power rack. And this way you can set the hooks to a reasonable height, because those bench stations really only have 2 settings usually, and one of them's way too tall and one of them's way too low if you're a person of average height. So with this solution, you can at least get something that approximates a normal competition bench. But honestly, if you don't have access to this, you are absolutely killing your gains to use these little miniature tiny benches. And I'm not even kidding. It could be easily a difference of 10 to 15 kilos off of all of your bench work sets immediately just from switching to a quality bench. So if you didn't already have a bunch of reasons why you were looking to get out of your commercial gym and go to a real strength training gym, this is just another one. But if you have no choice, the solution that I do have for you is to try to find those incline benches that they have, the standalone ones that are usually around the Smith machines where people will use them for shoulder press. Put that in the squat rack and do your bench presses in the squat rack. And this will be a lot closer to a competition bench, and I guarantee you that you will immediately bench more weight, thus making bigger gains and getting stronger faster. Anyways, guys, that's all I have to say on that topic. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, my friends, have a nice day and good luck with your training. Peace.